Hey, thank you so much for clicking on this video. And as you saw, this is a colorblind challenge, and I've done a couple of versions of colorblind challenges before. This is a new one that I've never tried before and I've seen on TikTok. So before I dive into it, let me show you what I mean. The way it works is they start off making a palette, putting down a bunch of colors that they might use for the piece and swirl it around, then turn it all into black and white mode. So by using the palette that she originally picked, painting it in with the values rather than the colors. The secret is, of course, the colors are there. They're just hidden. And then the result is a reveal. Ba-ba, look at that. And it actually ends up sometimes with really surprising results. So that's it. It's a pretty straightforward challenge conceptually, and I want to give it a crack. Let's start with something basic. So I've got to whip up some basic line work for me to work with, and then a palette. Now, I'm trying to get into the habit of avoiding redoing the same sort of dabble themes. So rather than doing my avatar or a dragon or something I've done a billion times, I figured it would be thematically appropriate to do a baby because I'm new to this form of art challenge and I have no idea if it's going to turn out good or competent, but I think it might be pretty cool. So he's a cool baby. I just love his little rolls. You know he's like a young baby because there's more roll than arms. So that is my framework to start off with this color challenge. Now it's time to do a palette. Let's pick some colors. Let's go just a peachy skin tone, brighter orange, a cool green. Bluey purple, this mid green. Let's put in like a magenta. And I feel like it's also going to be a little too obvious to me because obviously the central one is going to be this dark blue purple. So let's put that elsewhere. All right, now we just got to warp it. There we go. I have a swirly color palette. Time to go black and white. There we go, it's all black and white. Let's paint a baby. I'm just gonna start with a light value, slap in a skin tone. Let's pick a secondary, sort of slightly darker tone. I feel like I should go for dramatic lighting. So let's give him a rim light. It'll really make these rolls pop. I have to pick a dark color. I sort of know what this one is because there's only really one dark color. Just pick some random mid color, slap it in the hair area, pop it in the eyebrows. I have to say, when I first saw this challenge and I thought, yeah, I'll give that a go, I thought it would be clearer or easier for you to like remember which colors are where so you could cheat a little bit. I don't think you can, because when you paint black and white, you paint differently to when you paint in color. I got a cool baby chain necklace thing, and I'm gonna make this easier on myself and use my chain brush. Let's paint in a chain. If you weren't aware, I have produced the most amazing brush pack compatible with Critter, Procreate, Clip Studio Paint, and of course, Photoshop, with over 80 brushes ranging from pencils to oils to markers, charcoals, special effects, and loads more. And if you're unfamiliar with the digital painting process, well, we have created a painting guide. So if you want to start digital painting, not only does the bundle have 20% off, but my Ultimate Digital Painting Handbook goes through the step-by-steps of painting phenomenally in any program that works for you, from the basics to some really cool special effects and fine-tuning stuff that will take your pieces to perfection. Links in the description, and thank you for supporting the channel. All right, let's get back to our TikTok colorblind challenge. You ready? Okay, I'm gonna break the illusion here. I don't magically click and my computer goes black and white. I have to manually set the monitor to black and white, and it slowly reveals because I'm increasing saturation, and I don't want to spoil it. So I've cut this hole so I can see how much saturation I've added, so I know if I'm back to normal. Boom, whoa! I wouldn't have chosen those colors normally. Now, there was no rhyme or reason to the colors I chose. He looked pretty cool black and white. I mean, you know, it's not bad, but it's not great. I think there's probably ways to pick colors that are going to look good. I just picked tonally similar, but not in any sort of reasonable way. And then the result is like, it's okay. It was better black and white, let's be honest. But it's a start, and we've learned. Let's figure out if a more cohesive palette, and maybe a little less all over the place with my color selection, but we can't do another one without a sketch, so let's draw something else. All right, I want to spend a bit more time on this one, and we're gonna have a bit more of a measured approach with the colors, so I also want to have a bit of a theme lined up for whatever colors I pick. And I decided to go cyberpunk. I figured using vibrant colors will be much more interesting than using just boring ones. Surely there's no way you can get it wrong, but I want to at least give it a shot to be really interesting and really surprising. After laying down my construction pencil work, it was time to go on to the line work. I went with my gritty ink brush, specifically called the Impact brush. It really has a strong kick to it. To give a bit of edge to this character, a heroine in a cyberpunk universe, doesn't take no for an answer and fights against the corpse. I don't know, insert generic cyberpunk stuff, but I think she looks pretty cool. Maybe I also have cyberpunk on the brain because my Tabletop Time roleplay campaign is a cyberpunk campaign and I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077. So cyberpunk is the flavor of the week. Palette time. Do you know what? Before we pick colors, let's be more measured and use some color theory this time. Canva.com has a really cool color wheel where you can pick complementary, monochromatic, analogous, triadic. Let's go triadic. I feel like that's a good basis. Paste this in here and just take my colors. Now this is just a starting point. So I'll paint those in. Now I know the value of this yellow and greeny blue turquoise are gonna be lighter in black and white. So I'm gonna take this pink and do a darker purple nearby. I'm gonna take this yellow and I'm gonna do a darker orange. I'm gonna take this turquoise and do a darker blue. And then we should also add some brighter pinks, maybe a brighter yellow over here. And then we'll do a darker brown or orange. Before I do on a twirl, let's take the color away so I can't see where they're going. Ha! There you go, the color's gone. And now we give it a bloody twirl. Flip it around a little bit, flip it around the other way, and you know what, just for good measure, right click, flip horizontal. I don't know which is which, but I'm very curious to see how this turns out. Now I am going to approach this one in a more structured way, which is one of the reasons I actually did line work for this one, to give me a bit of a really clear boundary to follow and give it a shot at looking really polished in the end. And unlike last time, this time I'm giving it a bit of an environment as well. So after colouring in the silhouette of my character, which I'd then be able to paint in as a clipping mask to keep it all nice and neat, put in some smoky background textures and nice gritty effects to give it a cyberpunk vibe, and then set about painting the various areas of my cyberpunk character. I always start off with the skin tones with characters in general. I feel like it's the most important thing to get right, and in this situation is also taking up most of the visual space of the character. But I just did a rough mid-tone and slight shadow and didn't go too crazy into darker shadows or highlights because I want the shadows and highlight colors throughout the whole piece to be consistent with each other. So with the basics of the skin tone down, I follow the same steps for the rest of the piece. A rough mid-tone and a slight bit of darkening in shadowier areas before coming back later and adding sharper cast shadows in one uniform color throughout the piece, and then doing the same for some sharper highlights. Now with all of the mid-tones done and moving on to the shadows and highlights, I needed my shadows to be darker than the darkest areas. So I picked a color that was dark amongst the colors that I have, but I had to pull it down on the color chart just to make sure it ends up darker than everything else. Then I worked with only that color in the shadow areas, creating a strong cast shadow throughout the piece. And with the harsher shadows in place, it was time to add in some highlights. Now I decided to divide this into two. Getting a little tricky here with two light sources, picking one highlight color and misting that into the surfaces facing towards the viewer. Then picking the sharpest, brightest highlight out of my palette and using that to create some rim lighting from the secondary light source behind the character. I have no idea if I ended up picking the same colors or anything complementary, but by hopefully sticking to the same color in the same lighting direction, I'll get something that looks cohesive regardless, right? All right. I'm done and I'm really nervous because I love how this looks and this could go in any direction. Oh, this could be really, really, really cool or really dumb. Bringing my high-tech saturation hiding device. Ah, whoa! Whoa! Oh, wow, that's really cool! Oh my god! So the base layer that I did for her skin tone was this mid-blue. The lightly alluded to highlights were this sharp pink and the shadows were a dark purple. And then that rim light is amazing. Like that really light yellow is kind of not really used anywhere else, which is perfect because it's this amazing accent to a lot of hot colors happening in the middle. And the coolest thing about this challenge that I already love is I've painted with colors in a way that I just wouldn't know how to do if I wanted to. Like, this is a really cool effect. I'm really happy with that result. Wow, this was really fun. I'd encourage you to give this challenge a go yourself. I hope you enjoy the result. I am thoroughly happy with this. Now I'm gonna say something that you've heard me say before, that clicking the like button actually makes a huge difference and actually really helps me out. So if you would be willing to smash the like button if you like this result, that would be really awesome of you. Once again, feel free to check out those brushes, links in the description. But otherwise, that is it for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.